Hi, it's Amanda Laws, and I'm on the J All Day podcast.
Go.
Mic check.
What's cracking? What's popping? It's your host from the West Coast, Jenna, aka J All Day. I first got to start this off by letting you know this episode is powered by Top Cut Farms for all your cannabis needs, right in Tacoma, by the way. This week's strain is Lime Skunk. Let me tell you just a little bit about it. It's sativa, it's energetic, it's happy, it smells like limes, like literally.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a
that sounds
super
amazing.
gooey, just good stuff. Like I actually really liked it because it kept my energy high instead of bringing me down. Also helps with like depression, anxiety, stuff like that. So you can get that from Top Cuts. They have really dope cannabis and they're really good people as well. So it's nice to like have them both.
Blend those together for sure.
Yes, ma'am. Introduce yourself.
So my name is Amanda Laws, and I have followed Jenna everywhere she's been since she's been in Washington. I didn't know of her when she was in California, but I'm just really happy for this opportunity to talk about how the education field has changed since COVID, as well as what the future might look like.
Yeah, we're gonna get all into that. But first, you know, I gotta do a new snack alert. Okay, so this one actually really excites me because as a kid, I ate a lot of fruit by the foots. Did you?
Yes.
Okay, and Starburst actually has fruit by the foots now.
No.
Swear. And I guess there's 4 different flavors. So you got the lemon, the orange, the pink, the strawberry, and then the cherry, right?
Okay. Yeah.
But in the box, I guess it comes like there's something funny that happens. Like we're all thinking because when you get a Starburst package, you never know how many reds, how many pinks.
It's true.
So everyone's like, "Yo, with the fruit by the foot's the same way," because I'll be hella mad if I get all lemons. I was like,
Definitely.
"Damn, I wonder if they do that." But I think it's 2 strawberry, 2 cherry, and then 1 of each of orange and lemon. So they're at ShopRite, which we don't have a ShopRite here.
I was gonna say that doesn't sound familiar.
And I don't think we got one in California either. So if you have a ShopRite, go get yourself a pack. Let me know what they taste like, because I heard that the strawberry ones are like bomb. It does taste like the pink Starburst. And then I did see one on eBay for like $14.99.
Okay.
But I'm not gonna spend $15
No.
on a package.
No.
So they should come out. I bet Walmart they'll have them sooner or later. So if you see them, let me know. Tag me. You know how it goes at JLDay87. Real quick, I just want to say thank you to my sponsors too. This is something new for me. Behind me, you're gonna see this slideshow of all my sponsors, and one of them is ENP, which is Everyday Natural Products. They're super dope. It's all about immunity boosting, CBD, helps with stress levels. There's also CBD for animals. Anybody can ingest any of these, from kids to cats is their kind of like their motto.
I didn't know they did animals. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Trina, I put the CBD spray on her food twice a day. So once in the morning when she eats and once at night. I'm telling you, like her arthritis, it's bad. Like you can hear her bones pop. You know, she's 10 years old.
Yeah.
She's been active her whole life.
For sure.
And when I don't give her this stuff, it's really hard to get her to be on walks. But when I do give her it, I swear, it's like day and night. Like we can be out there for 45 minutes walking and she just gets tired then.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah, and she'll hop around like a little puppy every so often. So it works for her. I use all of these things like at different times during the day, but their CBD is not anything where it's gonna like drag you down either. You know what I mean? Because that a lot of people get that confused. Like, is that because a lot of CBD has THC in it?
Yes, for sure.
These ones don't, so it doesn't like totally, annihilate your day.
Which is a good thing.
Yes. And then Mad Ritual, big shout out to them too, because they hooked me up with a lot of their CBD recovery balm, and it actually really does work. I was just talking to Amanda before we got started, and I was like, I don't talk about nothing that doesn't work,
I know that.
And so I'm credible, and I really like to promote things that I believe in, and that when I believe in the people who make them as well.
For sure.
So check them out. They're on my Instagram. You can see, and you'll see a lot of them and probably hear about a lot of them because I'm always just kind of working with them, and I love their stuff. So stay tuned for that. All right. So I want to talk to Amanda. She is in the teaching life, and she actually teaches special education. That really got me interested because, well, first off, we kind of met because when I was on the radio, she would listen to the radio with her students, and I was a lot of her students' favorite, which makes me super excited. And they were really involved. You know, a lot of special education needs humans. They're so empathetic, you know,
Yes.
and they have such big hearts.
For sure.
And so I know that like certain times when Trina had, you know, cancer and she was gonna go to the vet for the tumor removal, they were up in arms about it. So she reached out to me and just told me that they were all super concerned, and it made me feel so like warm inside because, you know, Trina's my life, and so it was
For
nice.
sure.
For
For
them
sure.
to, yeah.
Yes, and I know you to be an empathetic person, and so I think that's why it's so easy for the kids to relate to you. That's not a bad trait to have. It's not a trait everybody
Depends
has,
on what
honestly.
day you're asking me.
Well, there's that piece of it, but for sure.
Yeah. So we kind of just developed a relationship just off of Instagram, and you know, she would check in with me. She was trying to do something with Will at first, and then it fell through. But she's just always, you know, in the community, and especially with all this COVID shit that's going on, and the school stopping and all that stuff. I was like, I gotta get you in here because I know nothing about it. I know a lot of people who watch and listen, they got kids.
For sure.
So let's first take it before the COVID, all right?
Okay.
And let's talk about your students. So what kind of special needs are we actually talking about here?
They vary, and that also varies from district to district.
Uh-huh.
Not every district has the same approach to special education. They usually largely are not the same. So you can have a student that is severely challenged, and then another student who needs minimal help, but on the emotional side they need consistent check-ins. No 2 days look the same, which I think any educator can relate to, because I feel like that's pretty common for us, and we expect that in this field. But the special education piece of it does bring its own challenges.
Like what? So when you say severely challenged, what are we talking about? Just so people can understand, because there's a lot of, I mean, autism that's very, very common right now.
Yes, for sure.
Down syndrome. You know, I'm not professional in knowing all, you know, varies of.
So when I say challenged, I mean challenged in regards to nonverbal at any time.
Okay.
Everything has to be guided by body language, and some of the students will read your lips.
Okay. Is there sign language involved too?
I'm sure there is. There wasn't for me.
Okay.
But that's a piece of it. I do feel like there's plenty of special education teachers who know that and use that. I'm sure it's majorly helpful for the nonverbal.
That must be hard though, because you're still dealing with other issues, so it's hard to probably teach.
Yes, because for the students that are nonverbal, you can look at them and think something is wrong, but then they won't be able to tell you what's wrong.
Right.
So
like
then you have to try and predict. Like, okay, so this part of him doesn't look today how it usually does. So maybe this is what's wrong, but then you never really know.
Right.
Because they can't actually
Communicate.
tell you.
Yeah.
And so there are, thankfully, technological tablets and devices that can assist us with this, where the students we can establish them to where they touch certain pictures and it will make sentences for them.
I've actually seen those.
Yes.
Even back in like my middle school, high school days, I had a friend whose brother was mentally challenged, and he was in a chair and he would press, but his mind was totally there.
Yep.
It's like, it was so, as a kid, it was really confusing for me, because I was like, I don't understand, he looks like this, but when he would make jokes, like he was also, by the way, now that I actually think about this, he was very grabby too. That motherfucker used to like slap my ass when I would walk by, like that.
Oh.
But then he'd act like it was like not on purpose. So he'd be like, ah, and like move his arm and slap girls, or like accidentally like rub against them.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, I'm like, wow, he was a pervert.
Right.
But anyways.
Right. Well, and it is crazy to see that type of stuff, because they know more than what we know they know.
Right.
If that makes sense.
No, totally.
We wouldn't necessarily expect them to know certain things that they naturally just pick up on.
Right. Like, even though it's, say you're dealing with a teenager, they're probably going to know teenager shit.
Yep.
Whether they're mentally challenged or not. Like, it's just kind of there.
Exactly.
That's really funny. I actually really never thought about that.
Yeah. And but you don't necessarily get to know those characteristics about somebody until you get to know them as an individual.
Right.
And then there are some parts of it that you can predict and kind of anticipate to happen.
Yeah. If
you see a behavior again and again, but that's not always necessarily the same either.
Yeah. Yeah, that's got to be really tough. So what does a day look like for you? I mean, what does even included in a special needs teacher? I'm assuming it's obviously more than a normal teacher. You're gonna probably have to help them go to the bathroom. You're gonna have to help them eat. You're gonna have to help them do all this stuff. So
definitely. So there's monitoring for some students because of them being nonverbal, like I was saying.
Yeah.
There's a lot of movement throughout the day, but it's purposeful. Our students need more assistance, like you're saying. So I would start in one classroom and end up in 5 other classrooms throughout the day because of teachers calling and the students needed assistance either academically or emotionally. We have to show up for them. At the end of the day, that's our job. At the end of the day, regardless of the child, we're all team kid.
Yeah.
If you have the right mindset as an educator, we are all team kid, regardless of the challenges that individual faces every single day. Right. I can only hope that we all want to see them succeed. Is it going to look the same for each student? No. Can we as educators alter what we're doing throughout our day to make sure they find success? We can, but you also have to have an open mind to do that.
Right.
Too frequently, when us as people just look at people and immediately just judge the students, most people immediately are like, they'll never be able to do that. That's not the right mindset to have.
Yeah.
Especially as an educator.
Right.
They are capable of more than, like I was just saying, than what we really know. And you have to have an open mind and also just believe in them.
Yeah.
That they can do what so-called general education students do.
Right. Yeah, that's a tough job because you got to be a teacher. You almost got to be kind of a parent. You also have to be a counselor.
For sure.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you got to do in a day.
For sure.
What made you want to do this?
So it kind of found me unexpectedly. So my first job when I was 16 was at the Children's Museum of Tacoma. My mom and my stepdad came to me and were like, so either you find something to do or we're going to find something for you. My mom at the time was working at Frank Russell. It used to be in Tacoma. It's now the State Farm building in Tacoma. And my stepdad got to talking to me and he was like, why don't you find something where you can take the city bus and be near your mom's work if you need to be, if anything was to happen. And I was like, okay. So the Children's Museum at the time, before it is on Pacific now, it was on Broadway, which is actually just a few blocks up from where it is now. And so I actually started volunteering there when I was 13.
Oh, wow.
Got a City of Destiny award, which is a volunteering award that they do.
Okay.
That was like a huge highlight because I was on TV and it was amazing to be a teenager on TV. That was fun. But I knew then that was what I wanted to do. And I genuinely believe that kids can continually grow and flourish just as we do as adults.
Yeah.
But you do have to believe in them.
Yeah.
Every child is literally one I believe in you away from success.
Yeah, that's really dope. So how has COVID just changed the classrooms? When was the last day of school for you?
So it was around St. Patrick's Day. I want to say March 16th.
Okay.
Or maybe like March 13th through the 16th.
Right, somewhere along
roughly around that time. COVID has significantly affected educators as a whole.
Right. I mean, schools are shut down.
Yes.
They've been shut down for months now.
Yes.
But, and we could get into the upset of, you know, so many different things that could be going on with kids not having food at home, and
Yes.
their only meals is at school, and parents that are abusive and spending all
Yes.
the time at home, not being able to get away. You know, there's a lot of different factors that play a role.
For sure.
But I would assume in special needs, it's almost kind of like that's a big setback. You know,
It really has
especially
been.
if you're on a roll with somebody who might have shown, you know, movement, like, and then you're on a good path with them, and you're getting to them, and then boom, shut down. They don't see you.
For sure.
I mean, what happens now? Like, what do you guys do?
There's not much we can do. Everything got transferred digitally in a very effective and quick manner, if you ask me.
So online classes, what you're saying?
Online classes. So,
but with special education, how is that going to work? You know, especially with parents, it's like,
yeah.
Do they have the techniques that you need in order to teach their kids what they need to know at school? I mean,
it's hard to know if they did, and if they didn't, they weren't necessarily seeking those results from us or asking those questions
Really?
of us as the educators, which at the end of the day, I'm a true believer that nobody knows their child better than the parent. I genuinely believe that.
It should be that way.
It should be that way.
If it's not,
yes.
It definitely should be.
Right. But I do feel that there are challenges that school presents for students that the parents maybe were not necessarily aware of, because you send your kid to school every day.
Right.
So you weren't dealing with that challenge, but because COVID forced you to.
I see what you're saying. So they're like at home with their kids, and now they're like, what the hell is wrong with Jimmy? He's not doing this. I've never seen him do this before.
Why is this behavior happening?
Is this happening?
I've never seen this.
Do they blame it on the school or teachers, or is it just like one of those things that they're kind of like, well, I didn't know this was like this? Like, maybe they gained new respect for you at that time?
I do think for some people they have. I genuinely do think there are some parents and families who are really appreciative of everything that's happened.
Yeah.
And realize, maybe I wasn't so aware of what my child's teacher was doing throughout the day.
Big eye wide open.
Yes, for sure. Because the challenges that were once ours are now what you're seeing at home.
Right.
And you had never seen those before because school was never at home.
Teachers are like, welcome to our lives.
Right. I mean, you know, there's been plenty of moments when I'm like, oh yeah, that's typical.
Yeah. I feel so bad for teachers. Like, I
don't
care
feel
what.
bad.
I just do, just because I know how kids are just assholes, you know what I mean?
They
Like,
can be.
I was like, you know, I'd be like a great kindergarten, first grade, second grade, like third and fourth, then they start getting like real bratty. And
Their
then it just
personality
gets
definitely
worse and
develops
worse.
then, for sure.
I used to do this, like, it was volunteer work for school, but I used to go around in Northern California and go to different classrooms and talk about like real life things and like do it in games and things like that. So I talk about like financial stuff and like how to save money, and you know, I had talked to these like little kids, like, you know, like kindergarten to, I think it was, my oldest one was like fourth grade.
Okay.
And I remember being like, having to ask them, like, you know, where do you get your popsicles? Like, who buys you ice cream? They're like, my dad or my mom, you know what I mean? I'm like, well, that doesn't come for free. And I'd have to like teach them all this stuff. But I remember one kid, like, I don't remember exactly what he said, but I just remember looking at him like, oh, thank God I don't have to see you again tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Some kids are brats. And it's hard
true.
if they're not your kid, because you can't do anything about it.
Right.
You just gotta let them be little assholes.
But the other piece of that is, you and I can speak to this because we don't have kids of our own. There's something to be said about just being able to walk away.
Yes, that's true.
And having none of them follow you.
See you later, Bobby.
Granted,
See you some other time. See you tomorrow.
I know I'll see you tomorrow,
Yeah.
but it's still tomorrow.
Yeah, you don't have to stay in my house and I'll have to see you for the rest of the night. Yeah, some kids, it's challenging, some kids. I mean, my nephews, like, sometimes I want to hit them across their heads. So, you know, I know all kids can be assholes sometimes, but just some are just like, damn. Like, who raised you?
I think
Shout out to TK on that one.
I think the piece that I really want people to think about, I do feel like a lot of people struggle with Wi-Fi even being in their house.
Oh yeah, you were saying that when I was asking you, so what happens now, and then you were talking about online classes. She was saying how a lot of schools will let kids have like laptops, like they'll like let them rent out laptops to do homework at home, online. But what happens when you don't have Wi-Fi?
So I think a piece to think about, if this is really something that matters to you and a change that you would like to see, Wi-Fi as a utility, really makes sense.
It should be, but anything that anyone can make money off of.
Yes.
It's like, why are we still paying for cable?
Yes.
It makes no fucking sense.
For sure.
And people are still paying for it.
Yes, for sure.
So
for sure, but that is something to take to your city leaders, to take to your city council, to have the conversations with the school district personnel that your child is in.
Yeah.
Because
at least maybe a discount, like if you're a student. Like, you show your student card for a lot of things. Well, maybe that's what they should do with Comcast.
For sure.
Xfinity, you heard me on that. If you do it, I get 15%, I'm just saying. But all these other companies, like, why not just give a percent off? 10% off, 50% off, 20% off? Like, that shouldn't be that hard.
For
Free for students.
College students get discounts.
That's what I'm saying. Like, why not for kids?
I do understand it would look a little bit different for kids in elementary, middle, and high school. I get that piece of it. But they're still students at the end of the day.
Yeah, totally. And if that's, essentially everything is online nowadays, and everybody does it on computers. So,
and it doesn't even necessarily have to be on the city level per se. Let's say you're in an apartment or you're in a house that's owned by a landlord.
Right.
Just be open to having those conversations. Maybe the company as a whole is willing to add that to the apartment complex that you're in.
Yeah,
you never know if you're not willing to have the conversation.
Totally. That's really smart.
So
didn't really
consider it.
So that affected probably a lot of your students.
Yes,
no Wi-Fi.
sure.
And then what happens? They just don't do their work, or they got to go to a Starbucks or something and camp out for hours.
Well,
like, that's ridiculous.
There were those buses and stuff that were placed in certain places where you could get like near the school bus, and then the Wi-Fi signal would get to the computer.
Well, that doesn't seem like a good idea, especially when there's a death virus going around.
Right.
Like, what do I know?
Right. I mean, there's few options, which is why I'm saying what I'm saying. If we really want change, we're gonna have to advocate it, but it doesn't have to start on a big level. It can start small.
I mean, you heard it. All the teachers and parents get together for a class, and it could be as small as that, and keep on moving up.
For sure.
I thought that during this whole COVID and quarantine shit, cable and everything else should have been free. They were doing all these free movies. For 3 months, what the fuck is gonna happen?
I do believe there was a period when certain companies like Comcast and Sprint offered incentives or possibly the Wi-Fi for free. But like you're saying, if it's for a limited amount of time,
it's fine. Like, no one's, like, you are probably $1 billion corporation. Like, what the fuck is, landlords, Baby Bash, for example, if you don't know who he is, he's a rapper, but he's from Vallejo, California. He actually owns some properties, and he didn't have his people pay rent.
That's awesome.
For a few months.
That's awesome.
He's like, I can handle not having their money, their income. Some people can't. I get it. But if you can, do that. Like,
lend the hand.
Why is it so hard to be just a human and understand kindness? You know what I mean?
For sure.
My apartment complex was like, oh, we just aren't going to charge you for the card. Like, if you use like a check or card or whatever on their site, it will be like a $2.95 convenience fee.
Almost like an ATM fee, like what you see at an ATM. Okay.
They're like, oh, we cut that for you. Like, oh, thank you for my $3 savings.
Right.
Ridiculous.
That doesn't make a big
so
impact.
Crazy.
Right.
So fucking crazy.
Yes, for sure.
So what now? I mean, when are schools gonna open? What's gonna be going on?
It's hard to know. It's not gonna look the same
ever
for two people. I wouldn't say ever. We will get back into schools. All of that will happen.
Parents are like, thank God.
Will it be in September?
That's still so far from now. Like, I still can't believe this is what is happening.
Right.
I really can't believe that shit. Like, I don't even know what parents are doing about childcare. Like,
see,
if you still have a job.
I'm not so sure that everyone really understands the whole childcare piece of it either, because realistically, most childcares are small businesses.
Fact, yeah.
So if that small business didn't survive, then that's possibly a center.
Oh, it's okay.
where 50 plus more kids can no longer go.
Right. Right? Didn't think about that either.
What are those parents supposed to do?
Right.
Because they still need their children to be cared for, but now their closest childcare to their house is no longer open. And
Right.
a lot of parents these days understandably have a hard time trusting people with their children,
Yeah.
which I understand.
Shit.
So if
I
you
wouldn't, yeah.
if you don't have a early childhood education
Yeah.
center to drop your kid off to, so what's plan B?
Yeah, you don't have one sometimes. I mean,
Right.
What are you supposed to do? Stay
Exactly.
home?
Exactly.
I mean, that's crazy.
So that's a piece of it I think that not everybody's realizing also. And I also just want to remind parents themselves, give yourselves a little grace.
Yeah.
Do not think that you need to be educating your child for 6 hours a day.
Yeah.
That's not the case. If you only get 45 minutes in here and 45 minutes in there, and if that's all you can get in a day, so be it.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of different sides. Almost everybody I know has kids, and there's been some people that are like, I honestly, this was in the beginning, I haven't really talked to them. Now it's been, a couple more months
Sure.
and whatever, but in the
Yeah.
first couple months, it was like, you know what, this is such a weird time that we're all going through. I'm just kind of focusing on their mental health. And their kids, granted, they're not in high school or middle school, they're in like elementary school.
For sure.
But it's like, we're not spending a lot of time doing homework. We're not. We're spending more time, being outside with each other, making sure that we're mentally okay, cooking, doing things like that, which I think is also great life things to learn.
For sure.
When this whole COVID thing went on, I was like, this seems like an opportunity for me. Like when I heard about this and everyone was like all upset about having to stay inside or whatever, not the losing the job part and all that, because I understand that stress, but the people that didn't really get affected except for you can't go outside, or you can't go on trips, or you can't go do things, this is a time to like teach your kids like skills, like how to vacuum, how to wash dishes, how to clean the toilet.
Definitely.
Like those are all things that like I know adults that like don't know how to do that shit. I mean, I still tell the story of like one of my best friends from Atlanta. He was 17 years old when I met him. We were both in college. He did not know how to open a fucking can with a can opener. He literally looked at me and was like, Jen, I don't know how to do this. And I was like, did your mother do everything for you?
Wow.
But he was young.
Sure. Yeah.
His mama did everything for him. So
Sure.
I taught him how to do that. He still remembers that to this day. I just
Yeah.
talked to him. He's married, has a kid. I'm like, so what else did you learn how to do, bro? But those are all great opportunities to like show your kids what you do around the house. This is great opportunities to make chore lists. I was doing chores when I was like 5 years old. I was painting with my
Yes.
mom at houses that we would have to paint for her job when I was 2, 3, 4 years old.
For sure.
And then I grew up, and then it was like, what can I do around the house for money? I was always trying to make money somehow, some way. And then it was neighbors, and it was like, I was mowing lawns, I was taking care of plants. I was 11 years old, you know what I'm saying?
For sure.
It's different for everybody, but this is a great time to do things like this, because when are you going to have the
Definitely.
time to do it ever again?
That
Never.
Exactly. That's very true. It is not going to be common practice, and it wasn't common practice before COVID hit
No.
to be at home. So really
No.
take this time
Yeah.
and do, like you're
Do
saying,
those things.
the things that you thought you would never have time to teach your things to do, take this time. And if that means you miss a day of so-called homework or what
Yeah.
was going on in class, like you're saying, so be it. The
Mhm.
mental health of this piece of this pandemic is just as important as the academic piece of this, for sure.
Yeah, and then on the other spectrum, I have parents that are like, I just been doing homework with them nonstop. Like, I don't even know what the fuck I'm doing. They're doing geometry.
Yes.
It's being really hard. They're like kind of stressing out because their kids are kind of finally realizing, hey, I guess we don't need this, and my parents don't know it. And how hard is it to explain to a teenager?
Right.
Like, you got to do this shit, but you'll never use it in your life unless you become this.
Yes.
I mean, I don't ever use geometry, but it's like you gotta fucking learn it, right? So,
Right.
But it's really hard, especially when there's so many other things going on in the world. It's hard to tell a kid, like, geometry matters. Like, it doesn't fucking matter.
Definitely. And like you're saying, the piece
Oh.
of you're never going to use it, then with teenagers then becomes, then why do I have to do all this?
Facts, and why am I wasting my time right now?
Yes.
Because for me, too, it was really hard. Math was really, really hard for me.
Me as well.
Struggled with math. After like subtraction, division, multiplication, and then fractions came along, I didn't understand it, and then it just got worse from there on. And then I did really well in stats, but it's because it's all like English based.
Gotcha.
So it's like
Okay.
words.
Okay.
And I ended up getting like A+ in stats, but like I couldn't pass geometry for the life of me. I was so confused.
I had
algebra 2, fucking hard.
I had a math tutor through college.
You see? Like, I couldn't get the hang of it. And so if someone told me like, yeah, you're never gonna use this, which a lot of people did, I was like, why am I doing it then?
Yes.
It's driving me insane. It's giving me a complex, and I'm over here like figuring
Right.
out for what.
That again is another piece though that I think parents and families may not realize. Go have a conversation with the school counselors.
Yeah. Yeah.
And ask those questions, because at the end of the day, those classes are required to be on your child's transcript, but realistically, if they're not using them, why are we even doing this?
I know.
Go
I
ask
thought about
those
that.
questions.
Yeah.
And
I've
advocate for change.
I've always thought about that type of situation, but it's just hard because no one really, there's only very few people that actually know what they want to do at a young age, and then they
Very
stick
true.
through it. I mean, I know for me, I wanted to do everything, and then it's like, you know, figured out one thing, and at that point I'm like, I just want to get through school and get done with it.
For sure.
But it would be a lot easier if you had, you know, and there are schools like this, but public school systems, like it would be easier to be able to pick and choose classes that were going to help you later on in life of where you wanted to go.
Definitely.
And I think that more so, classes should have more financial programs, like real life living situations.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Because I come from, you know, my mom knows a lot of stuff, and she's taught me a lot of stuff, and thank God I have her, because I wouldn't know.
Yes.
But I still, like my taxes and shit,
Yeah.
I'm so confused on that, and
Right.
it's just like, I don't even want to understand it. I don't want to do it,
Right.
you know, because I'm so scared of like even trying to get into it, or
For
like
sure.
fucking up, you know, you fuck one tax and my ass is gonna be fucking jail for fraud, you know, I don't know.
Right.
But you know, it's just like, it's really hard to survive in this world. This world
Definitely.
is really, really hard.
There's something to be said about having, like you're saying, life skills taught in a high school setting, taught by somebody that's not their parent.
Yep.
It does sometimes for some kids mean more.
Yeah.
And they will possibly listen more attentively than
yeah.
they would have to their parents, because to their parent, or when their parents are talking, sometimes it's just them nagging about something where
Yeah.
there's a different respect
Yep.
for their teachers
Yep.
and the people who they see every day at school.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree. Okay, so when did we get to when school might be opening again?
So not really. So
I was like, do we?
it's a really tough piece, because I genuinely feel that's going to look different for each district.
Yeah.
What happens in Yakima is not going to be what happens in Seattle.
Right. Well, that's already been super clear, because King County has been the last to open with anything.
Yes. But I think based upon what OSPI is saying, from what I understand.
What's OSPI?
So OSPI is the Office State of Public Instruction. Sorry,
Okay,
it's
that's
a
okay.
lot to get out.
That's okay.
So they're the ones who direct on a high school level, and basically all the levels really, the grading. It was the state superintendent that decided, along with Inslee, for the schools to close.
Oh, okay.
The instructional pieces of what teachers do,
Yep.
that's what OSPI decides. So they've proposed, from what I'm understanding, 9 different opening options.
Okay.
And
That's a lot.
it is a lot,
Mhm.
and I feel like from what I've read on them, each different phase will positively or negatively affect various districts on different
so
levels.
It's forever changing until they feel secure about the spread of the virus, pretty much. So
For sure.
they can say school's gonna open possibly in September as of right now, but then if shit changes, well then it might not be till October or whatever, or maybe
For sure.
certain days. I don't know how they're gonna do it.
I'm not so
because-
sure very many people do. Most of what
What are you gonna put up, like plastic little things around each desk?
Well,
or
so
cubby,
think
or
about
what are you gonna do?
so
People live in bubbles?
the analogy that I've been thinking of. So think about something as simple as the children's school bus ride to school.
Right.
So a route that a bus driver would do, which would usually just be once,
Yeah.
could turn into 8 trips with social distancing.
So they're looking at pretty much allowing a certain amount of people to come into the school at a time.
Possibly.
and then probably wipe it down, disinfect, then another group of people come in.
Possibly.
So that's crazy. So it could look like Monday through what? Like Monday through Sunday.
It could be alternating groups based upon possibly your last name. Like A through M comes Monday, Wednesday, Friday 1 week. Then
wow.
N through Z comes Tuesday, Thursday 1 week. Then you alternate. It could be something like that.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Part of me is kind of like, these motherfuckers are so lucky. These kids are so lucky.
They don't feel
in
that
a way. It's not like that anymore.
Right.
I mean, I get it now. But
the seniors.
If this would have happened, this is like a forever snow day. I would have been like, yeah. But yeah, so
the graduating seniors don't feel that way.
And that sucks.
Yes.
Like college students, that sucks too.
Right.
I would be more scared of anything to be held back a grade. Like, I thought that definitely was gonna probably happen to like. But I think people would be like so upset that I don't think
for sure.
But you know, if you're not learning what you need to learn within that year, I don't know. Like, or are we gonna have just a bunch of dummies walking around in like 20 years from now, or what?
It's hard to know. It's hard to know because
so scary.
They're like we were talking about a little bit earlier. They're definitely learning differently.
Yeah.
And we won't really know as educators what they really grasp.
Yeah.
Until they're with us again.
Right.
And the difficulty of that is we don't necessarily know when they're going to be with us again.
Yeah. That's crazy. It's so up in the air like that.
Yeah. And it's probably really unsettling for parents and family. And I know you feel that way, but it's also got the educators on edge too. I hope none of you don't think that we don't want to be with your students because that's not the case at all. We miss them incredibly.
Yeah. I see a whole bunch of schools when I like drive by and stuff, and they all have like things in the windows saying like, we miss you. For sure. I'm sure. I mean, I know lots of teachers that are like so dedicated to their students that I can only imagine that this is like really tough for them. And it would be tough for me. We've talked about this as well. Like, I'm such an empath. Like, if I had a student that I know had a kind of a shitty life at home, I would be really, really upset to like think about them every day.
For sure.
Not knowing like.
For sure.
Because I've had relationships with teachers where, you know, I really counted on them to like be there for me. So I can only imagine for kids that are going through some stuff that they're like, I don't have anyone to talk to. I don't have anywhere to go. So definitely it's hard.
It is. All of it's been challenging, and it's been challenging for all of us in a different way. And we, as educators, I feel, understand that. I also can only hope that all of you are appreciative of what still has been happening, even though if it's way different from what you expected or anything. I hope you genuinely feel like your teachers still care and that they've been trying and that your students are still progressing.
Yeah.
And the social emotional aspect of it, as you were mentioning earlier, that's just as important as the academic piece of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that just, you know, do the best you can. I actually heard this quote the other day and it's helped me out so much. And I hope people are sticking to this episode so they can hear it. But your best looks different every day. And for some reason, that made me so relieved. I'm going to say it again. Your best looks different every day. And for me, I'm someone that's like strives for 20,000 steps a day. I gotta get in this, I gotta get in this, I gotta do this, I have a to-do list, and if I don't do it, well then I feel like a fucking failure.
Yes.
But then I realize some days, if I just get up and just go for a walk, and that's the best I can do, then that's the best I can do that day. Yes. And I gotta be okay with that.
And there's nothing wrong with that either.
Yeah, it's definitely cut down a lot of stress on me, for me to be like, oh wait, my best isn't here all the time, and then if I'm never there, you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's different.
Yeah, that's a really good.
Thank you.
Saying.
It wasn't mine.
I don't know where you got it from.
I don't know where I've heard it from either, but whoever said it, that's really great and it's very helpful.
It really is, for sure.
Okay, so let's get into your outro questions.
Okay.
Unless you have anything else you want to touch on, or
no, I just
and thank you for what you do and being a teacher,
of course,
you know, and caring for students and caring for kids that are not yours.
Yes,
you know, from me and I'm sure on behalf of the Washington community, like we just.
But also thank you to the parents, the aunties, the uncles, the best friends, the everybody that is taking the time, whether it be convenient or not, to just continue to try to help these students succeed. It is clearly an awkward time. but that support means more to those kids than you probably even know.
Yeah.
Partially maybe because, like I said, they may not be saying it.
Yeah.
But it goes a long way. And I hope you don't forget that. And like I said also, don't forget to give yourself some grace. Like you were saying, if all you can do is just go outside with them one day because the day before was just too much, be that as it may. That's perfectly fine.
Yep. So remember when Billy is crying and pulling your hair because he does not want to do math anymore?
Yes.
Let him know that he will love it later on down the line when he thinks back to the moment that you guys are sharing at that time.
Right.
Okay, so first thing you do when you wake up in the morning?
Brush my teeth.
Okay. Favorite cereal?
See, that's tough.
I know.
I feel like I have more than one.
Okay,
but my go-to Wheaties.
Okay. Frosted Wheaties, I'm assuming?
No.
Just the regular?
Wheaties.
Oh my god. Lord.
And
you're like my 80-year-old grandpa.
And the Fruity Pebbles.
Okay, those are very different, but I'm gonna go with them. All right. One thing someone would be really surprised to know about you.
Well, I kind of touched on it earlier. Like my City of Destiny award, I don't really talk about that very much. What else is unique? I'm trying to think.
I know it's kind of a hard one.
Right!
Do you have any like special, like, can you do anything weird with like your face or your hands? Are you double jointed?
People, so this is going to sound completely random, but I think it's partially because I'm an educator. I get told a lot that I speak with my face.
Okay, yeah.
Which sometimes in a public setting isn't necessarily a good thing. Like my friends will check me and be like, Amanda, like just change it. That can't be happening right now because you're giving off a vibe and you're not supposed to be giving off that vibe and you probably don't mean to, but you also probably don't know.
I think that happens to the best of us. You're just expressive.
Yes.
That's what I would call it.
Yes.
What's your proudest moment?
Well, so as of next Tuesday, I will have my master's degree, and I'm very proud of that.
That's big.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yes.
That's something that
I'm very excited
you know
about
that is one of my goals.
For sure.
I just gotta get money. So
for sure.
But we'll talk about that later.
Yes.
What's your favorite thing to cook?
Enchiladas.
Okay. Like just what enchiladas are we talking? Are we talking
Like
mole?
beef enchiladas, the red sauce.
Okay.
Red sauce. I just did them just had them for Cinco de Mayo.
I love enchiladas.
Yes.
Most hated house chore.
Don't we all hate like all of them?
Yes,
but the one you hate the
one
most.
that you hate the most.
Cleaning the toilet.
Yeah.
I mean, it has to be done, but
it does. It's just
it's
a dirty
still
job.
annoying.
And then last but not least, sour candy or chocolate.
Sour.
Really?
Sour Patch
I was
Kids.
gonna think I thought
Sour
you were
Patch
gonna
Kids.
say chocolate.
Sour Patch Kids.
That's your favorite.
Yep.
Go to.
Well, Sour Patch Kids and have you ever gotten like the Fave Red Starburst?
Oh yeah. Yeah, those are fire.
Those are my top two.
The extreme sour punch cans.
Yes.
Those are my favorite.
For sure.
Once again, this episode was powered by Top Cut for your cannabis needs. And one more time, let everyone know who you are and then where to find you if they have any questions about schools or whatnot.
Amanda Laws. I am only on Instagram for very particular reasons, but my handle is love_always16. If you need resources, have questions, anything like that, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm full of knowledge about this field and more than willing to share.
You heard it here first. Well, thank you. I appreciate you stopping by.
Thank you.
This is dope.
So happy we got to do this.
Me too. And I'll see you next episode. All right? Peace.
Peace.